In this episode, we're going to do some advanced carburetor tuning on my LS Swap Firebird. So this is going to be another carb tuning video. So we set it up last time, and it wasn't too bad, but I need to change some things. So the main problem I have is that it's generally really quite rich, and also it goes really lean on sort of various parts of the throttle. So what we're going to do is I'll show you a video of what I'm talking about, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to change. So on this video you can see what I'm talking about. We're generally in the 13 to 14 range, but as soon as there's a tiny hill or I put extra load on it by being in a high gear and moderate throttle, we get 15, 16, or even full lean AFR on the AFR gauge. So the obvious problem in that clip is that when the engine becomes under slight load, it goes really lean, and I believe that's due to the power valve. So this engine is making 20 inches of vacuum, which is quite a lot, and this being a performance carburetor is expecting much less. So the power valve is staying shut too long. So I'm going to change that. The other thing I'm going to do is try and solve the too rich everywhere else problem, which I'm going to do by changing the idle air bleeds. So let's go on with it, shall we? So I'm going to treat this as a from scratch situation. So I've already set the transfer slots on the prime side using the idle screw, and I've set, so I've put an Allen screw or a worm screw in here, grub screw, so that I can easily change the idle using the secondaries. Well, that was a flathead before. You can see where I've missed it as well. So an Allen key will be much easier. So we're gonna have to do all the idle tuning again, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. So the idle air screws, air bleeds, are these guys. There's 4 of them, and I've got a kit. I believe that standard they're 70, and I'm going to make them 72. So, next up, power valve. Alright, so that is the inside with my float, and then that is the back of the power valve there. I think I can just metering block. So I need to use my special tool. I'm sure you could just do this with a spanner, but they sell a tool. So must-buy tool. Right, so that's my power valve, and you can see that's got 6.5 written on it. So that opens and allows fuel at 6.5 inches. Whereas what we have here is a 10.5. So it will open much later. Old gasket is removed. New gasket goes in. 10.5. Cool, attach that to there. And tighten her up. Okay, so back on she goes. All right, now we are going to have to do the idle screws again, I think. The carb's back on the car. So what we need to do now is go for a little drive and see what the situation is. I've already tuned the idle mixture. It's cold at the moment, so I need to let it warm up. But I'm expecting it still to go a bit lean on very part throttle, so like cruising. So let's do that and see what the situation is. What we're interested in here really is just the AFR. At idle and very light throttle it seems to be about 11 or 12, which is still a little rich. The car is cold though, so I'm going to assume that it's because of that. Thought I'd bring the wife along, seeing as if she wanted to go to the shop. First time Hayley's been in the car. Still getting some pops and bangs, which is expected.
Is she going to regret it? You will find out when you watch the video. So you may not have seen it from that clip, unfortunately. You're going to have to take my word for it, but essentially the engine runs lean at very light throttle. It's a bit rich around idle, and then when you on the transition between idle and primary, it goes really lean, 16, 17 AFR. So what we need to do, we've already leaned out the idle air bleeds to lean out the idle. So what we're going to do now is increase the idle feed restrictor, and that's going to add fuel between the idle and the main jets. Okay, so that means we should get a nice sort of part throttle cruise RPM that won't be really lean. So in order to get to these, we need to take the metering block back out. This is Mr. Metering Block, primary jets. Just get a shot of that for a second. So the transition circuit between idle and main jet is fed by these little jobbies here. They're called idle feed restrictors, or you could call them idle jets. Now, these are currently slightly bigger than 0.5
0.285 and smaller than, what was it, 0.031. So what I'm going to do is drill these out very, very slightly by about 0.005, and that should give me more fuel in the area that it's lean. The better thing to do would be to buy a new carburettor that's slightly smaller, but this is what we're doing, so there you go. So what we're going to do is use this little drill bit, which measures 0.305, and just drill these little jets out a tiny bit. Now I need to be careful that I don't go too far. And after I've done it, I need to clean out any swarf. Okay, that's one. There we go. Nice. Okay. So now let's just make sure it's not too big. So the next size up, which is 0.031, is ever so slightly too big. So that's perfect. That's 0.03. Okay, let's try and blow out the swarf. Probably too much. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I wonder if the camera will help me focus on it, maybe. Looks pretty clean to me. So, I'll put that back together. No need for you to watch me do that. It's pretty boring, and we'll go for a drive and see what happens. Right, so out on a little drive. Car is warm. It is 85 degrees. call that a success. So I'll leave it there. There is a bit more to do, but I think that for now that's fine. The car's drivable. So do like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.